Hi guys, I'm Shayla and today is the first video of 2023 and I thought we'd start by taking a look back at what I've made in the last year. I don't have everything that I've made. I did have a craft fair at the end of the last year where I took a lot of my extra stuff and tried to sell it so that I could have a little bit more space to keep all the new projects for this year. So I will be showing videos or pictures of whatever I make somewhere on the sides around me. But let's take a look back at some of my, not all of my makes, but at least some of my favorite makes. So one of my favorite things that I made this year was actually my Amos the Cupid doll. He was one of the first plushies I designed for the year and I loved how he turned out. I loved playing with the different textures and trying to get a nice curly hair texture. I loved just like creating something that was a recognizable character from going a little less traditional and baby with it and making him more of a teenage Greek boy kind of figure. So the pattern for him is right here. You can click on, I'll have links in the description to everything if there are patterns for them. Pattern is included in a super bundle of Valentine's patterns that's available for a really short time. So if you are watching this between January 5th and 10th, 2023, you can check out the link in my description for that as well. My next pattern that I absolutely love making was actually a collaboration with my sister. She wanted me to design a baby blanket for one of her friends as a gift, and she wanted something pink and colorful and fun, and these are colors that I usually didn't work with too much, so it was fun to like come together with a color palette with my sister and design something that she would love. She really liked one of my other patterns and the stitch I used in that, so we went with the same stitch. And this is like a bigger, pinker version of my Oasis blanket. So if you want something that's a little bit more of a stroller size and a little bit different colors, then you can check out the Oasis blanket. But here is the Lila blanket. One thing that I did this year that I think was super fun and that I think you guys really enjoyed as well is I started creating pattern bundles. I've always been part of pattern bundle sales and events with other bloggers in the past, but this was my first time creating my own bundle with my own patterns and kind of sharing that as like a unit rather than just my one-off patterns. So the first bundle that I did that for this year was a big hit, and it was my Farm Buddies crochet pattern bundle. This pattern included 7 patterns that I really enjoyed making, and they were all super fun, easy, pretty simple amigurumi patterns. I really liked making these and kind of coming up with simple ways to make the characters really shine and like really look like what I wanted them to look like. So all of these use pretty much only single crochet, maybe a couple of double crochets or half double crochets in there as well to give a little difference. But pretty much all of them are beginner friendly, and they include patterns for Freddie the Farmer, Duncan the Duckling, Lily the Lamb, Willow the Bunny, Peter the Piglet, and Bonnie the Cow. And there's actually 3 versions of that you can make. It's just changing colors, but you can make the strawberry cow, a brown cow, or a regular cow. It's one pattern, but you can make 3 different versions, or you can change them up and make them however you want, really. Those were really fun to make. And the last one was, let's see if I can remember. Last one was Finn the Fox. So I had 7 patterns in there total, I think. I spent a lot more time this year trying to create cohesive bundles rather than throwing out patterns just based on what I felt like making. So a lot of the patterns that I worked on this year were part of sets and bundles, and I tried really hard to kind of keep them full of patterns that were easy to do and had a little bit of variation in like difficulty level and in intricacy. So that is what I spent most of the year on, and took a lot more time than I expected to actually plan everything out and get everything just right. So I ended up making less patterns than I usually do in a year. I did have a couple of custom orders and patterns that I worked on just for fun and as custom orders that were delivered off, and I didn't have the time to write a pattern for, which I do want to get to in the next year. in this current year. So I will be holding off on sharing those. Just as we moved into the summer, I started making more beach themed patterns. I did another bundle, and those included the Beach Buddies bundle, which had a pirate, a mermaid, a seagull, a jellyfish, and an axolotl. I know they're not technically beach themed, but I really wanted to make one, and this was kind of my way of fitting in something that I liked. I also had a sea turtle, and I don't know if I already said that, and a diver. So this little diver boy was kind of inspired off of Animal Crossing because I played a lot of that in 2022, and I really liked the animation and like just the little characters going diving for sea creatures. So I wanted to include a character like that going diving for sea creatures as well. So I have all of the patterns of these are individually available on my blog for free. So 2022 was a little bit different this year in how I approached my like crocheting and all of my Instagram and YouTube and all of that, how I crochet, like how I approached making things and sharing them in general. And part of that was because Instagram Reels became a thing. And although I'm not a huge fan of putting myself out there, I love sharing what I've made, but getting out there and talking is a bit harder, or acting silly on camera is a bit more difficult. But it was something I stepped out of my comfort zone to do, and I thought it was really fun. After the first couple of awkward videos and actually seeing how fun they were to make and how the finished product would turn out, I got a little bit more comfortable. So I started making a few more of those, and I think that's something that I would definitely keep doing, not just because it's good for the algorithm, but also because they were fun, and I think you get to see a bit more of what I'm actually like and what I like making and what I have fun playing around with, versus me just sharing the simple pattern. So yeah, Instagram Reels was a big change for me this year, but it was well worth it and it was fun. So yeah, another big change for me this year was, like I mentioned before, I didn't make as many baby blankets as I usually do, and I focused more on creating more detailed, intricate plushies and sets of plushies. I love both things, and I always kind of vary between the two. Most years I've focused kind of 50-50, so I have a bit of each. But one of the reasons I made less baby blankets this year was actually because usually when I start making baby blankets, I don't usually make them just for the blog post because it is a big investment on time and yarn, whereas plushies are kind of a much faster return. But I love making them, and I think this year I'm gonna just get back into making them again. They're super fun, and I really missed having those like big, fun, squishy, colorful projects. And I think that Crispin baby blanket really made me, really got me excited about them again. And I have a bunch of ideas. I found some yarns that I love, and I'm excited to make them with you. This year I did a craft fair. I'd been missing doing craft fairs since I moved, and I really wanted to apply for the Renegade show. The Renegade craft fair in LA is really big, and it was the biggest craft fair that I've ever done. When I can do a separate video talking more about that if you're interested. But in prepping for this craft fair, I had to kind of look at things a little bit differently than I did when I did them in Chicago. When I did my craft fairs in Chicago, I did get to spend a lot of time making things like beanies and scarves and headbands, ear warmers, those kind of things, because it was cold, and those things sold pretty well. This year, however, because I was in LA and I think it was like 75, 80 the weekend of the craft fair, it didn't feel like winter at all, even though it was a November show right before Thanksgiving. It felt like a summer day. It was really nice. So although I brought my scarves and beanies with me, they didn't really sell as well. My other toys and a lot of my stuff that I had been keeping in my house for the last couple of years, I brought all of those things with me, and they did really well. Some of the things that did the best, though, were my Baby Yodas, which always are a number one seller. I made new patterns for these big squishy bumblebees and for Pokeballs. Those were actually my husband's idea. He really loves Pokemon, and it was I had black, white, and red yarn, so I just made a bunch of Pokeballs, and those did really well. Those were the first thing to sell out. I came home, I made more, and then the next day for the show, I brought all of the extra ones I had made, and I continued to make them at the fair, and every time I put one down, they were selling. So those were really fun. I will have patterns for both the bees and the Pokeballs out next year, probably sometime in the spring. But yeah, here I'll put a video somewhere with a little clips of that craft fair. It was super fun. I enjoyed it. I would definitely do another craft fair again. I think I'd kind of be more aware of the audience and who's at the craft fair. Yeah, this craft fair I think focused less on warm wintry stuff and more on my fun plushies and toys. I did try a few new designs for this craft fair. I started making rattles, like baby rattles, and I'll post a picture somewhere. So I would just take really just the toy, whatever plushie I would design, I would make the head for it and a small piece to attach it to a wooden ring, and I would fill the head of the toy with my regular polyfill and a little noisemaker. So I have them right here. I'd fill them with one of these and they just make a nice little rattle sound. So I bought a ton more of these, and I plan, so this year I do plan on making more rattles and making more loveys, and again more of those kind of cute fun little baby things, partly to sell at craft fairs and partly because I just think they're a different version of a crochet gift for baby that I think would be really fun. So let's take a look at 2023. I have a bunch of ideas for things that I want to do for this year, and I want to talk a little bit about them. This will probably change over the course of the year as I kind of work on some stuff and get distracted by other fun projects and like think of new things that I want to do. But for the most part, I'm hoping to follow kind of a better schedule than I have in the past. So I have here actually I have a set of 3 planners here, and I made these as crochet planners to kind of help me organize things and like keep track of my resources and stuff. But one of them, the one I'm talking about today, is the Make It Happen guidebook. You can find this on my website, and you can get them individually or as a set, and I'll include a link to that. But the reason I love this is because it's really good for planning out your whole year. So, let's see, I have here a list of my yearly bucket list. So, this one is just for like keeping on my bookshelf. So this is a clean version, but I tend to write on this in my online version, my PDF. I just type directly into there. And I have a blog post from last year that I show you how I use this to plan out my year, especially if you're doing crochet as a business or if you just want to kind of have a better idea of how you manage your time. I have a blog post about this from last year up on my blog, so I can link to that as well. But yeah, here you would just write all of your yearly bucket list goals. Then you can plan out on the next page, break those down, plan out a little bit better how you want to accomplish those goals. I use this page right here to mark out any important dates or any important like events that you have coming up, like a craft fair or holidays or birthdays that you want to make gifts for. And then yeah, every month after that just goes into breaking things down month by month, day by day, so that you can keep track and do everything like how you need to stay on track. And then I have like a weekly calendar to-do list page here. And yeah, it just goes through all of the months, and then at the end of the year, you have a page like this that goes over your biggest wins and things that you want to change for the next year. So, if you guys want to take a look at something like this, I do have a link down below, but for me, right now I just want to talk about a couple of my plans for this year. So in 2023, one thing I really want to get more into doing is having a better schedule and being more consistent. And that means filming more often. I always make excuses, I think, to stop filming. So filming YouTube videos has always been something that I want to do and I'm excited to do until I turn the camera on and I get a bit nervous. So I think with me making reels and making those content, I've gotten a little bit more comfortable, and I want to really use that and start filming more videos. I have a bunch of tutorials and like tip videos and everything lined up that I want to get to filming. So hopefully in 2023 you'll see a lot more videos from me, both talkie videos like this or tutorials and patterns and everything else. In 2023 I also want to work more on bundles as well. These bundles I want to kind of adjust them. Maybe I'll do some bundles that are baby blanket themed or maybe lovey themed. Kind of focus more on the things that I want to work on this year. But I do really enjoy the bundles that I made last year, and I think you guys really liked them too, so that is something I want to keep doing. Either bundles that I create on my own and sell for my own patterns, and I share with, like how I did the Sweet and Spooky bundle where I share the free pattern, but I also give you an opportunity to buy the bundle at a discount. Or be part of more bundles from other designers, because those are always really fun to meet new designers and to get involved in the new activities. So there are a couple that I've already signed up for, and if you want to find out all about those, I'll have a link down below for you to subscribe to my newsletter, where you'll find out about all the new events and things that I'll be posting and sharing. Another goal I have for 2023 is to just make more stuff for myself. A lot of times I have a lot of patterns and ideas and everything that I want to share on the blog, and I want to make all these hundreds of things for my blog, so I don't usually focus on making things that I just want to knit or crochet for myself. So that is something I want to do more of this year, and particularly knitting sweaters. I've always loved them and I've never really gotten good at them, so that is one project that I want to work on. And I want to finish one sweater for myself and also maybe do a crochet sweater. So that is my own personal project. I will be sharing them as well, but that's something that I'm not going to put pressure on. I'm just going to work on it and see how it goes. Alright, now let's get on to the fun part of the video. We'll actually show you some crochet and some knitting stuff. I wanted to talk about some of the things I'm working on right now. And this is also one thing I was thinking of doing throughout the year, so let me know if you guys like this, of just sharing updates and current whips and whatever I'm working on, and yeah, just really just sharing them and showing you what I'm doing. One of the things that I've been working on is actually a project for myself. This is a sweater. This is a sweater pattern that I'm making for myself, and it's kind of hard to see from here, but it has a little bit of detail right here on the shoulders, and then this wide neck is going to end up being kind of like a turtleneck almost, not fully, but like a little bit of a higher collar and then a drawstring pull. And it's going to be a bit long with a kangaroo pocket right in the front like a hoodie. So this pattern, this is a project I've been working on. I started at the beginning of December, and I intended to finish it at the end of December, before the end of the year, but I ended up spraining my wrist a little bit, and didn't get as much time to work on it as I would have liked. Also, I started it and it was way too big, so I ripped it back and started it over again. I have been posting updates about this on my Instagram. So if you want to keep up with how that's going and when I actually finish, that's a good place to check out. But the pattern is from this book from Knit Picks, and it's actually the one on the cover. So the book is called Adventure Awaits, and it's full of really outdoorsy kind of fun, cute patterns for things. And here is the sweater. It's called the Slade Pullover, and it was designed by Cheryl Toy. Yeah, you can see a little bit, like this is how the neck is supposed to be. I'm using Big Value, what's it called? The Big Twist yarn in their color Soft Gray. I do think that using the yarn that the book suggests, or like the Knit Picks yarns that are actually recommended for this, are going to give you the best results. But because I already had a ton of yarn on hand, I didn't want to buy anything new. So I used what I had, and I really love the color and I love how it's turning out. The only thing is I had to adjust my gauge a little bit. So I did go down a needle size so that I would match the gauge on the blanket, on the sweater. But yeah, if you follow all of these things and you do a gauge swatch and everything, you should be fine with the yarn that they recommend. I really love how this sweater was turning out, and I love the way this pattern explains everything very clearly, very neatly. It's a super simple pattern, I think, and I haven't had any issues with it so far. So I'm excited to finish that. And while I was working on this pattern, you guys see that I mentioned that it has this really nice shoulder detail here. It's ribbing, but it includes like an extra stitch in the middle or something. It's a little bit different. I don't know what kind of ribbing it is exactly, but I really liked how that looked. So I started a baby blanket using that same stitch. So this blanket, I don't have a name for it yet, but I'm thinking something cotton candy, because it really makes me think of cotton candy, right? Look at it. With all these colors, especially these like pinks and blues right here. But I really like that little stitch right in the middle of the sleeves, and I used that stitch to make this entire blanket. So I'm working on it. It's about this big right now. I'm at almost the halfway point, and then I'm gonna have the colors repeat. But for now, I love how this feels. It's just squishy and soft, and it feels amazing. And these were all colors that I always have on hand. So I was excited to use all of them together for a super squishy, super colorful blanket. Also, this blanket looks really nice on both sides. So like this is the right side, and that's like the ribbing side. And then this is the reverse side. This is the wrong side, but it looks just as good as the front, I think. It has a nice bumpy texture that I really like. You can expect that pattern probably sometime in the spring, when those colors make a little bit more sense for the weather. But once I'm in, it gives me time to finish it. So that's my second project. And last but not least is probably my favorite whip, because I just love this yarn. This is a blanket I'm working on. Again, another baby blanket, but I love this stitch and I love the way that this feels. There are some clips of me working on it on my Instagram, so if you want to get a little bit of a better look. But this blanket is just a couple of really basic stitches, and I was working on it for a while, and then that's when I sprained my wrist. So because it was difficult for me to crochet, I had to put it aside, and I haven't gotten back to it yet. I'm honestly a little bit worried about re-injuring it, but once I get back to working on this, hopefully this month, and I'll finish it this month, you guys will see it. I've been using this yarn. This is the Bernat Forever Fleece in the color Lavender, and it just feels amazing. It feels soft and squishy and like thick in a way that worsted or that bulky weight yarn doesn't usually have. It feels like more of a fuzzy cord than just like string than like yarn usually does. So it feels really neat and it feels really cool, and I think it's making the softest fleecy blanket that I've ever made, and I love it. I actually love it so much that I bought several more colors of this yarn in several like quantities, so I can make at least 3 or 4 more blankets. because I just love it. So you'll be seeing a lot of Bernat fleecy blankets over the next year. So yeah, that is everything that I'm working on right now. Yeah, so that is everything I'm working on right now. I usually have a couple projects on the go, but these projects are ones that I'm excited about, and I'm excited to show you once I finish them. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed a little look at how my 2022 went and how all the fun things that I had made over the year, and getting a look into what next year is going to look like too. If you guys aren't already subscribed, please do so. Just hit the subscribe button at the bottom of the video and hit the bell button too so that you can get notifications. I will be doing my absolute best to post more videos. If you guys want to keep up with what's going on with me and my other social media, if you guys want to keep up with what else is going on with me, then you can follow me on Instagram or subscribe to my newsletter build out. My newsletter will have usually everything, so that's probably the best way. It'll be the first link in the description down below, and I will also have links to everything that I mentioned in this video as well. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you soon with another one. Bye.